Mastering the creation of logic constructions is essential to move from basic to advanced Excel. In this video, we are going to learn how to create logic construction that you may use in if, sumif, countif, and similar functions. We start now. So first we are going to start with the concept of Boolean value. This type of information has only two forms, that is true or false. Important to understand that both forms are not treated by Excel as text or number. Depending on what value of such variable we are going to provide to conditional operator or if type functions, we will gain various results. Moreover, first trick for you for today, that you may convert true or false into numeral values and reverse, as Excel always operates with numbers. To do that, you may use for true non-zero values, either negative or positive, and for false you may need to use only 0. We are going to check how we may use it further. So now let's turn to logic constructions operator. All constructions are based on formal or hidden comparison of two values. There are three main operators that you may use in Excel. That is less sign, more sign, or equal sign. For non-equal statement, you need to use combination of less and more signs simultaneously. Despite it may look confusing, but for creating comparison in Excel, you may use not only numbers, but also text, logical values, or any format that you are considering to use in your file. We are going to find out how to use comparison operators for all these cases just in a minute. But before that, where you may have seen these comparisons before. Maybe when you was creating conditional formatting, you was seeing something confusing. So when you are to create a new rule, you most probably would like to select some conditions for the cell values. And here you can see that we are having several items to select from. So the first two lines create the conditions where we need to check value simultaneously for less and more comparing to the edges of the range. The next two lines, this is equal and non-equal sign. We have just seen the logic behind. So greater and less than, this also fits to more and less signs. However, greater than or equal or less than or equal, this is a new condition, but it's again a combination of signs. For less or equal, we need to use two signs simultaneously, and that will allow us to return true if the value is less or equal to our conditions. For instance, any positive value we are treating as non-negative or more or equal to 0. So now let's test them with real cases. Purpose of this exercise is to receive true or false based on the comparisons that we are going to insert into the selected range. So as you can see, we are going to create 4 different comparisons for equal, non-equal, more and less comparisons. And we are going to start with an example where we are having in column A, we have 1 and 0 in column B. For equal comparison, that's pretty easy. Everything starts same as any function with equal sign, and then we need to select value from column A, insert additional equal sign, and select value from column B, and hit enter. As you can see, 1 is not equal to 0, so we are ready to move to non-equal comparison. Here we again start with equal sign, and now we're after selecting first value, we're inserting less and more signs, and then selecting the second value. So here we have received true. So now we need to check if a value in column A is more than value in column. So we have selected value in column A, more sign, and value from column B. Of course, 1 is more than 0. And the same for less sign. So we are selecting A, less sign, and value from column B. Pretty logically, that is false. To make it more visible for us, I have applied conditional formatting, so we are going to see true as green and false as red. So we are now ready to check out what we have for other numbers. I have also completed the full table with all condition operators and condition functions that are just equal, as we can see here. So pretty logically that 17 is not equal to minus 18, and here you can see that it's not equal in the first pair of comparisons, and of course 17 is more than minus 18. For the next one, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. So here we have a million, and in B we have a 10 in 6 degree. So pretty logically that if we're going to compare these values, they are just the same. And you can see it if you're going to check the formula bar that we're having just exactly the same values. So despite the format of these values are different, and we can see that here we have a simple number, but for the column B this is scientific, Excel compares values but not formats. So summing up, numbers are easy to compare because here we are using a common logic. And now let's check out how Excel compares text. Let's compare like and subscribe. What is more, what is less? So first things first, it's pretty obvious that it is not equal. However, if we are going to check the comparisons to more or less, we can see that more has shown us false and less has shown us true. So that means that subscribe is bigger than like. How it is operating and why it's happening here, I'm going to explain you in the last example, but giving you a hint, as having higher position number than L in English alphabet. So the next part I have added by intention to show you how I'm personally using the comparison in everyday life. So we are having extraction from the same system, and at first sight, values are the same in both columns. I have put them in the middle, but if I'm going to put them to the left position, most likely you will not find any differences in these values. However, comparison says that we are having two values that are not equal, and it shows us that these values are in row number 9 for key 13. By that usually means that we are having some additional space being added into the end of our values. So if I'm going to check the first value in column A, I can see that there is no additional space added, and in column B I can see that the additional space right here. If I'm going to delete it and hit enter, it's going to be changed, and we can see that it is the same as row above or below it. The same example we can see for key 18. Again, if I'm going to delete additional space, both columns becomes exactly equal one to each other. That was text. I have also added one more trick just for you to understand that text is not always what we see that. For us, A is A. However, if we are going to go much deeper, I believe that you will find difference between these two A's. So we are having in column B a capital letter. From perspective of the simple comparison, Excel says that these two values are just equal. We can check for case sensitive. So to do that, we need to substitute the function we are having here for the equal with a function called exact. This function allows us to compare two sets of text for not only having the similar numbers or letters, but also to check if the cases of these letters are just the same. So after closing the parenthesis, I'm going to hit enter. So now you can see that data into columns is not the same, despite simple comparison has returned positive results for equal values. So this is just one insight for you to think over when you are comparing the text one to each other. So the next part is Boolean values. So here we are having the same values that we have a result of our comparisons. So this is true or false. Again, you can see that it is inserted as text, but in fact it is not treated by Excel as text. Automatically it's converted to Boolean. So moreover, if I'm going to check out how it compares true to false, you can see that it says it's not equal, and that is pretty obvious. However, it says us that true is more than false. If you remember the slide that we were showing before going to these test cases, we can substitute true with 1, while false is 0. if I'm going to ask you to check if it's just the same for 1 and 0 comparisons, we're having two equal arrays of comparison results. So for true, it's pretty obvious we're having it just the same, so true are equal. And if I'm going to check false and true, we should receive just an opposite part for comparison for more and less. So false is less than true. So keeping in mind that true and false can be substituted with numbers can help you with this type of comparison. Now let's find out why we are having this case about like and subscribe. In both columns we have apples being added, and one of the apples are by intent contains additional symbol as space to make these values not equal. If I'm going to delete it, we're going to receive two exactly equal ranges. So I would like to return back my space here, and you can see that it is not equal any further, but it also shows that value B is bigger than value A. To show you the logic, I would like to separate each of these inputs letter by letter. To do that, I'm going to create a simple function, and I need some technical range here that I'm going to operate with. So I will use the mid function. This function returns the specific number of characters from the original text at a certain starting position. So I would like that I'm going to use the text in row number 28 so I can fix the row, and I'm going to start with a number of a position from my technical range. So it is located in column C, so I would like to fix column C, and I would like to return only one value. So I'm going to complete it for first apple and for the second one. So now next operation I would like to do is to find the code number or ASCII table position of each symbol. To do that, I need to use the function code and select the values. So you can see that capital A is 65th symbol in ASCII tables. And now I would like to complete it for both values here. So you can see that the symbols A, P, P, L, E are equal for both values. However, we are having a specific value for space, and that's number 32. While we have received value, system treats it as 0. So as a result, we are having the first non-equal sign in last position, that is 32 comparing to 0. As a result, value B is bigger than value A. Or in our case, value A is smaller than value in column B. So this is more complex explanation of the comparison that's done on a text side. That is essentials of logic constructions in Excel. Learning all these practices will allow you to create your personal conditions and then pass them to if statement functions so that you are going to create more complex functions on your side. If you found this video interesting and useful for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and bell not to miss any future videos. Cheers!